I know.
Okay, we are live with Renee. Go ahead, Renee.
Thank you so much. Renee Taglia. I'm a master hair colorist with Wella. I'm based here in Beverly Hills. It was very overcast all day this morning, and so now I feel like the sun is breaking, so it's a good time to wake up and get some good education. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday morning. Today's class is House of Tone. So with House of Tone, we cover it in two different sectors. Our first focus is going to be on our lightening, which is going to be our Wella or Blondor family. Then we're going to go into our toner family. So how to follow up those lightening processes using our Wella portfolio toners. I'm going to definitely talk about our Shinefinity. It's our new hero product. It's fabulous if you haven't used it already. I highly encourage you just to even use a simple clear on yourself. The way that your hair feels afterwards is magnificent. The nourishment, the slip, the shine is irresistible, and the product definitely speaks for itself. Following a little bit of that product theory, we're going to go into a little bit of a demonstration on a doll head, just so you could see how much lightener to actually apply to get the clean, transparent blonde that we're looking to achieve, and then how to follow it up using our Blondor toners, which are another wonderful asset that we have here within Wella. I do have the Wella chat here, so I'm going to be multitasking as I am teaching. I'm also going to be keeping an eye on a chat to make sure that everything is copacetic. If there's any questions that you have, feel free to put them in the chat. There's about a 20-second delay. So if I don't see it straight away, I eventually will see it. If it gets scrolled past, please don't hesitate to re-ask it. I want you to take full advantage of my information and knowledge. I've been a colorist for 22 years and I've been an educator for 12. Hair color is my passion. I love two things in this world. I love hair color and I love my dog. So you are in for a real treat for today because it's going to be really focused on a lot of the science-based behind what we use within Wella and the wonderful products and assets that we have to get optimal results, to get those clean, transparent blondes like we're all transitioning to into our summer months. So I see that we have our chat here. No questions so far. So if you have any, don't hesitate to actually jump in there and shout it in there, and no question is inappropriate. So within our House of Tone family, we're going to first talk about lightening. Now within lighteners, we're talking about persulfates. Persulfate is essentially what you're going to want to think about is Pac-Man, right? So we all remember that arcade game growing up. You'd play Pac-Man and you think about it eating those little dots. That's exactly how persulfates, bleach, lightener all work. They all mean the same exact thing. They're just those words come in interchangeably. I typically like to use the word persulfate. Some people like to use the word bleach. Some people like to use word lightener. It's whatever your personal preference is. So if you hear me say persulfate, essentially I mean bleach, meaning lightener. So within our House of Tone, covering our lightening, I'm going to start with my favorite lightener within our Wella portfolio, which is going to be our Blondor Plex. Now, if you have been using Blondor Plex, you realize that the packaging and the marketing has level lifts. We recently now we can make the claim that we have 9 levels of lift now using our Blondor Plex. The nice thing is about your Blondor Plex is that as a colorist, it saves you so much time because your Wella Plex measured in your lightener for you. So for those Saturdays where you have clients back to back waiting for you and to go in the back room and mix, and you're always having to add your Wellaplex step 1, this is going to help save you so much time because that step 1 is pre-measured in here for you. I'd like to call out my Blondor Plex, my step 2. When this was launched, it was just for COVID. So I don't know if the education was as thorough as it possibly could have. Always bring true to the point that anytime that you're using the Blondor Plex, you absolutely need to immediately follow it with your step 2. So let's say, for instance, I use my Blondor Plex, I apply it into foil, full head of foil application, fully developed. Now it's time to bring my client to the basin and it's time to remove my Blondor Plex. What steps am I going to do to order to make sure that I recreate that disulfide bond that has been during the lightening process? Let me make sure we have no questions. Great. Fully developed, you take your client to the basin. Essentially, you're going to take your client, lean him back, and rinse till the water is complete. So you've removed all the Blondor Plex as much as you possibly can. I'm talking an aggressive rinse, full 5 minutes. You're moving the hair, it's an active rinse. It's not a passive rinse where you're just kind of taking the hose back and forth, because you really want to make sure you remove as much of the plex and the lightener where you're going with that step 2. What you don't want to interrupt your lightening process with a shampoo and then following it up with your step 2. If you interrupt your step 1 and 2 with a shampoo, essentially you won't be able to create that bond in the hair. So I always like to make stock, and I always like to call out the fact that if you are utilizing the Blondor Plex, you immediately would want to use your step 2, following it directly at the basin. So the way I would do it, lean my client back, rinse till the water's clear, wring as much water out of my client's hair, get it to about 50% towel dry. Then I go in with about 3 pumps, depending on my client's density and length, about 3 pumps of my step 2, and let that sit on the client's hair for 10 minutes. Essentially what I do during that time is I make sure my client is comfortable. Maybe when the step 2 is in, a wide tooth comb, a tangle teaser, whatever your preferred method of getting a product through to distribute evenly when your client's hair is wet is a great with your step 2. While that's 10 minutes, I also will take advantage of that time and go mix my toner. I want my process and my products to be, so I'm not going to pre-measure and pre-mix my toners. I'm going to do that once my step 2 is processing in my client's hair, so I know that that color is fresh. I always want to remember that a countdown to get it your client's hair. So you never want to be necessarily mixing toners, letting them sit for a long period of time. As soon as you mix it, it's a countdown to get it onto your client's head. So Blondor step 1 and step 2. Remember, we have to use these together. Very similar as our original Blondor, which I'll talk about in a moment. This is our multi-purpose Blondor. The Blondor Plex has that step 1 added in there. Like I said, now have that 9 levels of lift that we can claim. The nice thing is with my Blondor Plex, we give you a mixing ratio anywhere between 1 to 1.5. So that allows you as a colorist to have complete control on how much lift that you're actually going to achieve using this product. So one thing, if you've ever taken a class with me, is that the power is in your power. 1 to 1.5 ratio, the faster, the stronger your lift is going to be. The closer you are to that 1 to 2 ratio, it's going to slow down the speed because you've now incorporated more developer within your powder. So the power is in your powder. And then another thing that you'll hear if you've ever heard take my class with me is that I love my Blondor, whether I'm talking Blondor Plex, original Blondor, soft Blondor cream. I love it all, low. And by that, I mean, I love my developer and 6, 10, maybe 13 volume. Only time that I for like anything above 20 volume is when I'm using my free lights. Otherwise, I highly recommend our Blondor low, slow, and controlled. So you are really, in my opinion, they work so well together. Nothing is like pastel developer with my Blondor Plex. So if you're not a Wella user and you maybe are not familiar with this pastel developer, it's such a great asset and it's so unique. And I find that I use this every single day I'm behind the chair with my clients. So my Blondor Plex with my 6 volume is such a great way to get that clean lift up to 9 levels. So the reason why my pastel developer is 6 volume, correct? So if I'm at 6 volume, we know that's low and controlled. So 6 volume. The other developer we have in our Wella portfolio is our 1.9%, which is equivalent to a 6 volume within Color Touch. So these two are exactly the same strength. Both of these are 6 volume. The difference between your developer, between your Color Touch 6 volume, is that your pastel developer contains phosphoric acid. And what that phosphoric acid does is it by 70%. So essentially now I could take a permanent hair color, such as my blonde toner, and mix this with the Blondor toner and take 70% of the ammonia out of my Blondor toner. I'll get to these down the road. So if you don't know what those are, don't worry, I got you. So let's say, for instance, we're even talking Colestone Perfect. Colestone Perfect is, I can go on and on about this product. This is such a well-respected permanent hair color line. If you are first coming to Wella, you've never used Wella before, my #1 focus for you would be, this has 130 shades. It's a very comprehensive line. It's globally recognized. It's a very high-end permanent hair color. Anything that you would want to do with hair color, is going to be with your Colestone Perfect, 130 respected globally. So I could take my permanent Colestone Perfect, mix it with my pastel developer, and take 70% of the ammonia out of my Colestone Perfect, which is fabulous because now I can take a permanent color and walk it in the direction of a demi-permanent. I would never say, oh, I could color into a demi-permanent by mixing it with pastel developer, but I definitely walk it in that direction. So what I could do now is take a permanent color, refresh my mids and ends, use it as a low light, go in and do a beautiful glossing service at the end, and I've taken 70% of the ammonia out of it. So pastel developer is such an asset. So not only can I mix it with permanent color and take the ammonia out of it, I also love using it with any of my lighteners. It keeps it creamy and it gives me that low, slow, controlled lift. The Blondor Plex, again, with the 9 levels of lift, we want to make sure that there's some call outs of making sure that we're getting optimum results and keeping the integrity of our client's hair priority per usual. One thing I always like to make point of is we don't recommend any of our lighteners under any type of heat sources. Even a climate putting Blondor Plex or any of the Wella Blondor family underneath the dryer. It's meant to work at room temperature. So you never want to use a blow dryer, hood dryers, none of those red lamps, no type of heat source at all for any of our lighteners. We keep it at room temperature, slow and controlled. The other really important call out with our Blondor toners and our Blondor Plex is that we never want to exceed 50. So 50 minutes is our maximum development time. If your client is not where they need to be within that 50-minute mark, you're going to have to remove the client come in on a completely different day after you've pH balanced the hair and there's been some time for that hair to readjust to where it needs to be at. So we want to make sure that 50 minutes is our maximum time. We don't have any type of a heat source. And some tips and tricks that I've learned myself for 22 years as a colorist. So the Blondor Plex came out about 5 years ago. When we're using our Blondor Plex, we want mixing it every 20 minutes. So I sometimes go to salons and I'll walk in and I'll see stylists or colorists come out and they have it's like a pancake batter full of lightener. That's far too much. If your product is sitting out for longer than 20 minutes, you're going to lose the strength of that product. So I don't care how, there's no way you're going to get a massive amount of lightener on your client's hair within 20 minutes. So what I always recommend is find your sweet spot with mixing. So for myself personally, I know if I'm going to be remixing every 20 minutes, I'm going to start with 20 grams of powder. 20 grams of powder for me is 20 minutes. So I know that the speed at which my hands work, how many foils I'm putting in, I know 20 minutes is going to be about 20 grams of just lightener. So that's going to be my, every single into my color room, I'm remixing and I'm starting with a fresh batch. So you'll never see me come in there like half of a bowl still of light, maybe just some developer to it and add more powder to it. You have to remix and have a completely new fresh batch to make sure that we get that clean, transparent blonde, whether we're removing artificial color or natural melanin. So every 20 minutes, we're definitely going to be remixing our Blondor Plex. My favorite lightener. It's going to be safe for on scalp, safe for off scalp. I love it for my foil work, whether my client is a level 7, regardless of where my client's starting point is, Blondor Plex is going to be my #1 lightener that I go to the most. Any questions on Blondor Plex? Feel free to put them in the chat. Blondor Plex, I'm going to do a really quick wind up with my reminder of my Blondor Plex, always following it up with the step 2. Don't use a Plex without the step 2. That's how you recreate those sulfide bonds back into your client's hair to get that 9 levels of lift, to also keep the integrity of your client's hair in complete tack, which is very, very to our lightening service. Blondor Multi-Purpose. This lightener is OG. This is such a cult classic. I've met so many colorists that perhaps they don't use Wella color, but they use our lightener. So I say that Wella, we're known for our lighteners and we're known for our reds. Our lighteners are fantastic. This OG cult classic. This is going to give you 7 levels of lift. I call it the SAG Awards of lighteners. The reason for that is this is won Stylist Choice Award 17 years in a row. And Stylist Choice Award is the award that other stylists recommend for nominations for winning. So it's not like some haphazard award that somebody tried the product and a review on. This is what other stylists have vetted and have coveted and used over these years. 17 years in a row, best lightener of the year. Speak this up if you've ever used this product. The nice thing is with your Blondor is that this is multi-purpose. This has our anti-yellow technology. So whether your client has propensity to pull warmth, they have artificial color, or they're just really dark naturally, maybe they have a medulla, so you're having to remove a client from high. Multi-purpose has that anti-yellow technology so that while you're lifting, you're going to be maintaining that warmth and being able to control it. It has a bluish tint to it to help combat any of that unwanted warmth that we're consistently dealing with during the lightening process. I always find it funny when clients are like, oh, my hair lifts warm. Everybody lifts warm. So our Blondor multi-purpose is such a great asset. It makes it very similar to my Blondor Plex, anywhere between a 1 to 1.5 to a 1 to 2 ratio. So the 1.5 of lightener up to 2 parts developer. You can use multi-purpose anywhere from 6 volume all the way up to 30 or 40 volume. Completely your choice as an artist. Again, I love it low, slow, and controlled. Anti-yellow technologies, 1 to 1.5 ratio, safe for on scalp, safe for in foil if you want to have some type of a physical barrier, whether you're doing foliage, paper, however you're creating that barrier, that highlighted effect. I love it for my on scalp lightening. It's a great way to be able to cancel a lot of that warmth while I'm lifting my client's hair. While it is on scalp, as a colorist, I love it at a 1 to 2 ratio. For me, 1 to 2 is very creamy. It stays moist for as long as I need it, especially for on scalp. It's like the perfect viscosity where I can apply and move on. I can apply a nice clean lip, super, super even, and I'm not worried about it drying out, and I'm not worried about it being too runny. It's like, it's not too cold, it's just right. I love 1 to 2. It's not too thin, not too thick, just right. So multi-purpose, very similar. You don't want to exceed 50 minutes, 50 is our max development time. No heat, no blow dryer, no red lamps, no hood dryers, no type of heat source whatsoever with our lighteners, ever, ever, ever. You'll have to keep the integrity of your client's hair intact. Multi-purpose. I will be honest with you, hairdresser to hairdresser, very rarely do I now go for my multi. I typically just use the Plex technology because this is such a cleaner lift for myself personally. They both will give you a nice, beautiful blonde. But I find with the Blondor Plex, I'm not only going to be recreating those sulfide bonds that are broken, but I'm also now going to be able to get up to 9 levels of lift. So personal preference, just hairdresser to hairdresser. I typically go for Blondor Plex more than my original Blondor. Truly, just to be honest with you, the original Blondor is if my client's on a budget and they can't afford this, and they're like, oh, maybe I want to throw like a money piece or just a few foils in, and I'm going to treat them, and they're not necessarily going to be paying for like the Plex technology, then I'll go for the original Blondor. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, I'm going for my Blondor Plex. So if you don't use any of our lighteners and it's like the first time that you're considering using some of our lighteners, I'd say just get the Plex. You just follow it up with step 2. Chef's kiss. So versatile. On scalp, off scalp. Blondor Plex. It's Blondor. Then we also have our soft Blondor cream. This is my go-to for color corrections. This is amazing. Not only is going to give me those 7 levels of my original multi-purpose Blondor, but it also has chamomile extract in it. So the nice thing in that lightening process, those lipids that chamomile extract has, it helps create a barrier and helps kind of moisten, keep that cuticle layer very moistened and very lubricated during the lightening process. It'd be a very aggressive process of breaking down the hair's natural melanin and artificial melanin. So having that chamomile oil in there really just helps protect the cuticle, keeps it very strong, and helps keep that hair great for my color corrections. And the reason being is because if I'm doing a color correction, I'm probably going to be removing previous. So I know that my Blondor soft cream, I'm going to be able to remove all that unnecessary color, clean out that canvas as much as I and be able to get a very even, clean result using my Blondor Soft Cream. Similar in that you guys are going to get really sick of hearing me say this. It bears repeating. We don't use the dryer and we don't exceed 15 minutes. 5-0 max. Same with the soft Blondor cream. You know what else I'm going to say? Low, slow, and controlled. So nothing above, typically, personally, nothing above 20 volume for myself, but you can use it all the way up to, depending on what you're looking with your own personal needs and goals. The video is blurry. Just wondering, can list the products in the chat. Happy to list the products in the chat. So the first one that we talked about was the Blondor Plex. And I always like technology to be as smooth as possible. So Blondor Plex. So first we're talking about our lighteners. Then we have our Blondor Multi-Purpose. And then Blondor Soft Cream. And a lot is to be said in the name, right? So when you think Blondor, think creamy consistency. These are a powder form. This is a cream consistency, so soft Blondor cream consistency. Blondor Soft Cream. Great. It gets unblurry. Sometimes technology does that. I think I have a strong signal here, but I'm not sure. Maybe there's something that needs like buffering, and maybe perhaps it'll kind of rectify itself. So we talked Blondor Plex, multi-purpose Blondor, soft Blondor cream. Next, let's talk about our extra cool Blondor. I'll put that in the chat too, so just so you can see the name. Again, so much is in the name. So we have our Blondor Extra Cool, and just like the name says, it has added cool pigments to the actual mixture in itself, the actual powder. So you get the persulfate, and then you have the added blue and green pigments. So while the multi-purpose has the anti-yellow, this has that much more cooling effect. So who do I love the Blondor Extra Cool on? For my clients who have very dark natural melanin, a lot of previous hair color applications, and I'm looking to get them as clean and cool and transparent as I possibly can. So soft Blondor cream is going to be a little bit more of a gentle lift. Your Extra Cool Blondor is a little bit more strong and has a little bit more of that warmth cancellation with the with the cool technology. I will say sometimes I have no problem with mixing these together. If I'm trying to get the best of both worlds, I want, say, the creaminess of my Blondor Soft Cream, but then I need a little bit more punch with my Extra Cool Blondor. I definitely mix them together. It's something that you kind of play with as a colorist, and you find what fits your needs and your client's needs. I definitely use my Extra Cool Blondor for clients who are naturally below a level 4, and I'm trying to get maximum lift. I will absolutely incorporate it with my Blondor Plex. So these two work really well together. If I'm trying to get clean, transparent, cool blonde end results, these are really good together, actually. I won't bore you again, but you know it one more time, no more than 50 minutes and no heat, and always remixing every 20 minutes. The other call out that I like to make with my lightener is that you never want to be aggressive. I think there's sometimes where chefs or bakers at home and they feel a need to like whip their lightener. So sometimes I'll see stylists and they're like mixing it and really, really aggressive. When you're doing that and you're mixing it, you're actually introducing far too much oxygen to the product. So if you introduce too much oxygen into the that product is going to work faster, and you're going to find that your foils are going to get puffy. They have the tendency to then slip because now there's so much oxygen incorporated in the formulation. So whenever you're mixing your lightener, I don't care if you're using multi-purpose, Blondor Plex, Extra Cool, soft Blondor cream, think of it like folding the cheese. You watch the show Schitt's Creek, fold the cheese. What does fold the cheese mean? Just teach me what it means to fold the cheese. Same concept with lightning. So you're going to fold your light, fold it. You're not like mashed potatoes, you're not aggressively mixing it. I know that you're even if it comes from a good place, but if you want to make sure that your lightener is going to be effective, not going to expand during the processing, and that your foils stay completely intact, fold your lightener with your developer. Fold it. fold those 20 grams or whatever your sweet spot is for 20 minutes. Once you find that the mix is completely even and there's no like small chunks, ready to go. Folding it will take you a little bit longer than mixing it with a whisk and whipping it. So just give yourself that time and be very mindful. Oh, thank goodness it's not blurry. You're very welcome. Did I write the okay? Free lights. So that's a good tip for clients with the whipping, especially for areas with hard water. I can come back and have a whole class about how terrible California's water is, but that's another class for another day. But essentially, when you have too many in the hair, they interact with our hairs and they interfere with our coloring big time. So for those clients who live in areas of hard water, they don't have a shower head filter on their shower head, I find a big reaction for clients, especially if I mix my lightener too quick. It really gets puffy and expands. So it's more of a chemical reaction that's happening. So again, just be very mindful when you're mixing our lighteners. You want to be folding it. You don't want to be whipping it. Don't introduce too much oxygen to it. So we covered our Blondor Plex, multi-purpose Blondor, soft Blondor cream, extra cool Blondor, and now we're going to talk about our free lights. Blondor, amazing free painting clay-based lightener. Free lights has been around for over about 9 years now. It's a great lightener. I will say hairdresser to hairdresser, it's a very soft persulfate. And when I say soft persulfate, I mean it's the strength and the power of flex. I'm being perfectly honest with you. If you read the literature, your free light says 7 levels of lift. So you can achieve those 7 levels of lift. And the nice thing is with free lights is that you can go anywhere between a 1-to-1 ratio all the way to a 1-to-3 ratio. So with free lights, we give you a little bit more artistic freedom. The closer you are to that 1-to-1 ratio, remember, the power is in your powder, the faster it's going to be. The closer you are to that 1-to-3 ratio, it's going to slow down that development time. It's going to be very creamy, and it's going to allow it to slowly get you the lift that you're looking to achieve. The one important comment with your Blondor free lights is that you always want to make sure you're mixing it with your free lights developer. So free lights developer is made specifically for your free lights powder. They work hand in hand. It actually activates the silicones in your free lights. So if you mix your free lights with pastel or your color touch, you're not going to activate that creamy of the. So is the hair fire? Definitely not. But if you mix it with your proper developer of the free lights, it's very creamy and it makes spreading so much easier, which is very important, especially with your freehand painting. So I will say, just hairdresser, my client is, let's say, a starting point at a level 4, and the goal is to be a clean level 10. This probably is not going to be the choice as a colorist. I'm probably going to foliage using Blondor Plex because this I know will give me the strength and power that I need to achieve. Free lights is gorgeous on a client who's, let's say, a level 6, and I'm looking to bring them to a soft level 8, make it look like they were in some soft foliage freehand painting that look very sun-kissed. This is not going to be a level 4 to a level 10 warm cancellation. This is very soft persulfate, very gentle. So it's great to have it in your repertoire of lighteners as a very soft persulfate. Again, that mixing ratio is 1-to-1 all the way to 1-to-3. I love those free lights, and the free lights is the best. Free lights came with these brushes too. This is my favorite brush. I foil with this brush. I do all my lightning with this brush, and it came out with the free lights lightener. It's perfect. And we all get so stuck in our tools. If I'm on a stranded island, like a desert island, and I only have 5 brushes to use, that's one of my 5 brushes for sure. Great. I see that there's no questions, so I'm going to keep powering through. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. About the lighteners we have already covered, our Blondor Plex, multi-purpose, soft Blondor cream, our free lights, our extra cool. Magma is an amazing lightener within the Wella portfolio. This gives you the ability to lift the exact same step. So what does that mean? Essentially, we've taken the pH of those color molecules and we've increased them with So as you're lifting, you're actually toning at the exact same time. Here you will see the Magma portfolio. Unfortunately, Limoncello has been discontinued, which is one of my favorites. So if you see this, buy it because it's like amazing and discontinued. So if you do find it, definitely grab it. So this is going to be the portfolio for our Magma family. Magma is, again, I want you to think of it first like a lightener. It's in a powder form. So in your mind, remember, it's a lightener, it's a lightener, it's a lightener. So I think if you're looking to create lightness in time and you're like, I don't want to use lightener on the client's hair, I feel like it doesn't have the integrity and the strength, think of Magma like a lightener first. So don't until it has color in, it's the same amount of impact on your client's hair as using Blonde or Plex, original Blonde or. So keep in mind, this is a lightener, this is a lightener. With your Magma, we give you a mixing ratio of 1 to 1.5, all the way to a 1 to 2.5 ratio. So this is such a great asset for clients who have previously colored their hair. So let's say, for instance, hypothetically, I have a client who's actually a level 4 and definitely has previous color on the mids and ends, and says to me during the consultation, I'd love to have a couple highlights. I'd love to have maybe a caramel highlight and maybe another highlight that's red. So as the colorist, if I know that I need to remove previous artificial color to achieve that, I'm going to go in with lightener, now have to tone every other foil, one red and one caramel. Very time consuming. So now with Magma, I have the ability to alternate foils. So perhaps one foil is soft blonde or cream, one foil, and then I'll alternate another foil with Magma stroke 44. So stroke 44 is going to be red, red. Such a pretty color. So this way now I'm able to have 2 different lightness within the same client's head, whether their client is virgin, whether my client has hair, because again, Magma is a lightener first. So I'm able to get that lightness and deposit the color at the exact same time. Call outs about Magma, same concept. We're not putting Magma under the dryer, not exceeding 50 minutes. Magma is the one exception that I won't mix lightener with my Magma. This is pre-measured. Our R&D has really done their due diligence on having to make this perfectly work pH balanced. So I mix Blonde or Plex and Magma in the same bowl. This is to be mixed by itself with developer only. I don't mix this with the other lighteners that I've discussed previously. Those are intermixable. These Magma are intermixable within themselves, but I don't mix them with my original one. Same concept with my Magma, as I love it low, slow, and shades. For instance, we're looking here at my stroke 4. This is when you're using it with a lower developer strength. Then the higher developer strength you go, consistency, and you get a little bit more tonal deposit because you're removing so many more of those previous pigments in the hair. So with the Magma, keep in mind, the higher, the more impact that you'll see on these color results. So pretty. I love Magma. It's such a unique product that such a great asset to have in your toolbox, especially when you're trying to create those multi-tones. The one call out with Magma too is that we don't recommend it on the scalp. And big stickler with wearing your gloves. So you should be wearing your gloves every single service, whether you're just shampooing your client's hair, you're just rinsing it, oiling the hair, always gloves, gloves, gloves. And especially with regards to using Magma, Magma has those pigments in them that can be quite strong. So if I'm rinsing Magma, applying Magma, I'm always wearing gloves, being very mindful about that. I'm going to write Magma here too. So that is the wonderful Wella lineup that we have for our lighteners. So we've covered our multi-putts, multi-blonde cream, extra cool blonde free lights, and our Magma. So it's nice to be able to have those different options, even within just the lightener portfolio. Me, what lightener, if you can only pick one, would you choose? Blonde or Plex. Do with regard to lightening for your client's hair. On scalp, off scalp, up to 9 levels of lift, recreates those sulfide bonds that have broken during the lightening process. You have to use these 2 together. So if I can only pick one, it's going to be the blonde Plex. Some important call outs to removing our lighteners is to make sure that I'm a big stickler on pH, and we really here within Wella, we are very much cognizant of making sure our client's hair's pH is intact before we begin that toning process. So let's say, for instance, I'm Plex, we've already discussed, I'm going to use my 2 to make sure that the hair's pH balanced, those bonds are being re-brought to the hair. Let's say, for instance, now I'm using multi-purpose. How would I use multi-purpose and then go in and follow it up with a toner? I'm happy to answer that. So I've applied my all over, I've fully developed, bring my client to the basin, lean my client back. After my multi-purpose blonder, I'm probably going with Ultimate Repair. This is our new care line. It is magnificent. It sells itself. If you've ever had a client that feels like their hair is just parched and malnourished, this is such a great care line. And I feel like, especially with blondes, it really helps keep intact, the shine intact, and the ability to be able to get a brush through the hair is remarkable with this product. So I brought in, I put them with my Ultimate Repair towel dry. My secret weapon is my color post treatment. I will apply my color post treatment for 5 minutes on shampoo towel dried hair, go mix, come back, rinse this out. So color post service, what the heck is this? Color post service essentially is going to be the pH balancer, that previous step, and prep it for that next step. So a question I usually get in class typically is, does this seal down the cuticle? Is this the very, very light? Do not seal down your cuticular layer. This removes the oxidative processes prior, and then it preps it for that next step. Okay, pop quit. We know the pH scale, right? So we know pH starts at 0 and goes all the way to 14, and we know that 7 is neutral. What is the stable pH of our client's hair and our own hair when we're at complete rest? This is definitely a state board question for sure. Somewhere between 0 and 14. And a lot of times colorists seem to think that it's 7 because it's neutral, and it makes sense that it would be 7. But hair is slightly acidic. So anything below 7 is going to be acidic. Anything above 7 is going to be alkaline. So hair at its resting state is in 4.5 to 5.5. And this product is actually going to bring your client's hair to that state. When we lighten our hair, we definitely alkaline state. So in order to be able to remove the natural melanin or remove the artificial melanin, you have to be able to increase the pH of the hair. So by increasing that pH, it's very important to make sure you drop the pH back down before you go in and follow with your toner. If you go in and you apply your toner and the hair doesn't have the stability in the pH balance, your hair color be as even. It's not going to give you the shine reflection. You might not give the longevity, and just practicality. To be perfectly, this is really good at detangling my client's hair. So if I've shampooed my client's hair and then now it's time to tone it, a tangled mess. And so trying to get a toner on there as a colorist is very technically challenging because I'm trying to not, upset my client's hair and be able to get that product in a timely manner through my client's hair. So you never want to condition before you tone, but you want to have the ability for the hair to be detangled. This be both of those call out actions without closing my client's cuticle. So I've done my multi-purpose, I've done my shampoo, I rinse my shampoo for a full 5 minutes, go into the back dispensary, mix up my toner so it's nice and fresh, come back out, rinse this. Smells like Jolly Ranchers, and your clients are going to want to buy it and take it home. You say, nope, sorry, you have to come get in the salon. We don't sell it. It doesn't need to sell. Toner, develop as I normally would my toning process. You'll find that the toner is much more even. You'll get a little bit more slip in the hair because you've pH balanced your client's hair. After you've applied your toner, let's say, for instance, I'm doing a semi-permanent toner within our color. After I've applied my Color Touch toner, I may just rinse it, may do another post-treatment afterwards for another 5 minutes, and then I'm completely done. A great asset to have is going to be your Blondor sealing care. This does the exact same thing, color post-treatment, but this will seal down your client's cuticular layer. So this is the very last step of any time that you've used any type of blondeau in your client's hair. So the hair's color is exactly where you need it to be. You're not looking to remanipulate it. You're not looking to add more tone to it. You're not looking to, everything is completely finalized. The hair color looks chef's kiss. It's exactly where you want it to be. This is going to be your very last step. This will pH balance your, remove any prior to, and it will seal down your client's cuticle. So essentially, if you've closed the door to try to open it now, it's a little bit more harsher on the client's hair. So make this be your very last step. This is also a fantastic detangler. So when you're going blonde, your client's hair tends to get a little bit more tangly and knotty. Your color post treatment and your blonde or sealing care are such great assets for making that wide tooth comb, that wet brush, that tangle teaser, whatever preferred method of removing your tangles that you use, in such an easy detangling component here. So that's the entire lightener and remover family within the blondeau family. So make sure that those all make sense, because that's a big part of the lightening process. So the first one was the color post treatment. I'm going to put in parentheses, smells like Jolly Ranchers. And I'll be really good price point. I think like this whole liter is like less than 20 bucks. And you should use this after every single color, whether you permanent color, a demi-permanent, a semi, a lightning. This is such a great asset to have at your backstation. It's such a great product. Color post treatment, and then the blondeau sealing care. And that product, you really only want to use it if you have used blondeau. So sometimes colorists will say, well, what if I just did a Colestone Perfect gray touch up? Would you use the blondeau sealing care at that point? Blondeau sealing care's technology is meant to work with blondeau lighteners. So I wouldn't want to follow up Colestone Perfect, but only be for clients who I'm using a lightening service on. So blondeau Plex, multi-purpose soft blondeau cream. So again, remember, so much is in the name, sealing care, so you're going to seal down the cuticle. So that's my Wella lineup for lighteners. Now let's move on to our actual toners. So first and foremost, I have to start off with our blondeau toners. They have up your sleeve. I can't imagine toning now without my blondeau toners. So if you are at all familiar with T18, T18 is such a cult classic. T18 is from our Color Charm, which is the American Wella, but T18 has been around years and years and years. Your parents or grandparents use it at some point if they've been around someone in their upper years. But T18 is like essentially going to be the permanent toner that was able to get that cool, frosty, smoke look. So within our blondeau toner, we now had a new upgrade on the T18, and we created our blondeau toners. So these are a permanent hair color. They are great following up a lightening service. So if you've gone in with the blondeau multiplex, using your blondeau toners afterwards is a great to ensure that you get those clean, cool end results. So let's say, for instance, you have a client who you've done a full head of foils on to have smoky, cool, not an ounce of warmth highlight. As a colorist, sometimes we're intimidated to want to use even like a level 10, because we know that a level 10 is still going to give us some depth into the hair. So we know a level 10 is still going to a little bit more pigment that we even want. There's times where we want to just level on level. We don't want to tone any darker. We want to be level on level. So using your blondeau toner is a great way to get the best of both worlds. You'll be able to do level on level, cancel out as much warmth as you possibly can without giving you the depth of even, let's say, a level 10. So for my blondeau toners, those are going to be for the clients who I'm looking for those platinum end results. This is my blondeau toner family. So these blondeau toners, you can see the longer you leave them on, the cooler the end result is. So if I'm looking to really get these platinum smoky end results, going in with my Blondor toner is such a great asset because it is a permanent toner. So let's talk about the individual colors and how to mix them to make sure that we get optimal results. So with our Blondor toners, it is a liquid. It comes in a liquid form, and you want to mix this with either our pastel developer at 1.9, or you can mix it with our 20 volume. So these are the two developers you actually want to mix your Blondor toners with. Hairdresser to hairdresser, I typically go for my pastel. It keeps it a little bit more controlled, because keep in mind, if this is a permanent toner, and let's say I mix it with 20 volume and I've done a full head of foils, and between the foils, my client has their natural hair, that natural hair will get altered because this is a permanent toner. So if your client is the type of client where you don't want to affect their natural, you definitely do not want to use Blondor toners. This is a permanent toner. This will manipulate that hair between the foil, especially if it's virgin hair. So I typically will use my Blondor toners with pastel developer when I'm looking to get a clean, smoky, transparent blonde and be able to have as much warmth control as I possibly can. So this is pale platinum. I go for this tone a lot. It's a great way because I'm able to now cancel that warmth out without giving that depth. The nice thing is with the pale platinum is that that's going to be our stroke 1.8. So I know most of you are Wella users, but if I, in case here, have some non-Wella users, let's look and see what these numbers actually mean. So stroke 1.8 is going to be 1 is represented by our gray ash, and 8 is represented by blue. So I know it's going to be a gray ash with secondary blue tones to cancel out that unwanted warmth. So that pale platinum is, I always have that fully in stock. I go to that a lot, especially for my clients who are deep, have a natural, have a medulla, natural dark pigments, have artificial color on their hair, remove as much of the pigment as I possibly can. And that Blondor toner is such a great asset to be able to create that cool tone, again, without giving me that depth. So I will typically mix my pale platinum. Again, we're going to be at a 1:2 ratio, 1 part Blondor toner, 2 parts either pastel or 20 volume. We also have within our Blondor toner family our brass kicker. So brass kicker, essentially think of it like pure pigments or special mixes. So our special mixes are typically what we use to add a little accent of color, whether we're looking to enhance the color or counteract it. So we have special mixes for all the families. So here's my Color Touch special mix. This is to be mixed with only my Color Touch family. Celestone Perfect has its own set of special mixes. Your brass kicker essentially is like your special mix to Blondor toners. So with your brass kicker, you want to use anywhere between 1 all the way up to 3 capfuls. You don't want to exceed 3 capfuls. I promise you, the color is not gorgeous. We only recommend it between 1 to 3 capfuls. And what dictates the amount of capfuls would be how much warmth you're looking to control. So if I have a lot of almost orangey, redder pigments, I'm probably going to be using close to 3 capfuls of my brass kicker. And if I'm looking to cancel just a little bit of extra yellow, it's like a little bit more of a pale yellow that I'm looking to cancel out, I'll probably be using 1 capful of my brass kicker. But I will say, hairdresser to hairdresser, just using the pale platinum by itself is a very impactful lightener to achieve those cool tones. Now, if you've never used these before, I just want to give you some heads up because some things we learn the hard ways, and I want to help you get there with as much ease as I possibly can. So when I started using Blondor toners, the one call out I will say is that when the color is at the basin, so we've applied our Blondor toner, and anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes, we'd allow it to process. I typically like it at about 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes is a great, perfect place for that client's hair to get that warmth cancellation and have that clean, even result. So let's say we fully developed for the full, let's say we went 10 minutes. When you look at that hair at the actual basin, hopefully you have a white shampoo bowl because the white shampoo bowl will reflect the light to show you a more true color of that actual client's hair. You will feel like, I'm just telling you now so you can understand and experience it and hear it firsthand from me, the natural color of your client's hair between the foils that wasn't previously lightened may appear warm, and those highlight colors may appear cool. So it almost may appear like the base color looks kind of orangey, looks a little brassy, and the highlights almost look like lavender smoke. And it's gonna, at the shampoo bowl, I'm just being honest with you, it's gonna look wrong. And you're gonna think, oh my goodness, I need to tone. I now need to go in and cancel out and do maybe a root shadow just to be able to cancel some of this unwanted warmth. I promise you, trust the process. So allow your toner, blonde or toner to fully develop. Rinse. Within the state of California, I'm assuming most of you listening now are in California. Anytime you use a permanent color, so any type of color with ammonia in it, you have to shampoo it out according to our license. So if I've done a blonde or toner, I'm gonna definitely use the Ultimate Repair as my shampoo to remove it. Then I'm gonna go in with either color post treatment or my blonde or sealing care, whatever my personal preference is for that specific client. When I go in with my color post service, again, the color is not gonna look completely right. You have to trust the process. So once this is fully processed, you can truly judge the way that your blonde or toner looks is when the hair is bone dry. Not even damp at your station. The hair has to be bone dry. So if you're concerned, you're just starting to use it, my encouraging words of advice would be take your client to your chair after you fully develop and you've applied your sealing care or your color post treatment, and take that bang area or that the hair that right around the front hairline that's going to reflect on your client's skin and blow dry that straight away for you as a colorist. 9 times out of 10, you're going to blow dry it and be like, gorgeous. The color is exactly where I need it to be. It looks different when it's damp. It's a completely different story with the rest of our color toner family. So I will say blonde or toners kind of trick the eye a little bit when it's damp, but trust me, once you've blow dried the hair, it's like clean, transparent, smoky blonde. If you ever have downtime and you're just wondering what assets and how wonderful blonde or toners are, go on Instagram and just search the hashtag blonde or toners and you'll see every colorist that's ever tagged it, and you'll see amazing blondes. Level 9, level 10, smoky, platinum, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love our blonde or toners. Make sure there's no more questions. Great. So we never want to exceed 20 minutes with our blonde or toners. I find with blonde or toners that they do work, they're very effective and very strong. So definitely keep in mind that this is a permanent toner. So it is going to affect the hair that hasn't been manipulated with color. So if the hair is virgin between the foil, it is going to affect it in a great way, because then it makes it one cohesive end result. Sometimes I find if I go on with highlights and I don't affect the client's natural, I feel like it looks, there's a stark contrast. It's like highlight, base color, highlight. The nice thing is with blonde or toners is that it makes it a beautiful cohesive end result. So it will slightly kiss your client's natural, but in a great way that makes the end result look that much more beautiful. So those are my blonde or toners. Then we have our gorgeous blonde or base breakers. So blonde or base break, we have 2 different shades. So these are great because they help soften your client's natural between the foils, whether it's the day of getting a balayage or the day of getting foil work, and then now you're wanting to go in and just bump your client's natural. This blonde or base break is a great way to do that. You could do this controlled, and you do this at the basin for 10 minutes processing. So with our blonde or base break, this is going to be mixed at a 1-to-1 ratio, again with either pastel or 20 volume. You've been listening to me now for an hour. You probably know my instincts are going to say, I love it with pastel developer because it keeps it very controlled. Sometimes I find if I use 20 volume, it could feel a little aggressive, just personal preference. I love it with pastel. I do it with 20 if I find that I need a little bit more impact and lift. I love it with pastel developer. To me, it's perfect lift and kind of softens my client's natural area, especially if they've taken too long between their foils to come in for their touch up. So let's say they've gone 3 or 4 months and now I'm needing to blend their natural with all of this previous highlight, that this previous highlight not only has old highlights, but it also has sun exposure, blow dryer. It's been used in pool water so that chlorine softened all of this client's natural hair color. So if I have 3 months of outgrowth and I'm trying to blend from here to here, and then I have all this previous color, sometimes it almost appears as if this looks like highlights in their natural and then this looks like highlights in a base color. So for those types of clients who take a little bit longer between their touch-ups, using your base break is a great asset because it helps blend that natural result, especially when they take a little longer between their touch-ups, which I find clients are doing post-COVID. I think it's just part of the times. So our blonde or base break is permanent, so it does contain ammonia. So I typically will use that and then follow it up with some type of a way to seal down my client's cuticle, which is a great way for me to transition into our toners. So those are our permanent toners. This is my whole entire Blondor family. If there's any questions on these, I'm happy to further explain. But otherwise, now we're going to talk about our toners that don't contain any ammonia. So the first of our toners that don't contain any ammonia is going to be my Color Touch family. Color Touch is our demi-permanent. This is very similar to Colestone Perfect's family. They match up very well. A lot of the numbers you'll find are repeated in Colestone Perfect as well as in Color Touch. So they work very well together. So what by that I mean, let's say for instance, covering my client's gray at the root area with a level 5, then I can go in with Color Touch and refresh the mids and ends using Color Touch because these work very similarly. These are both brown-based colors. So as the color fades, that brown is going to come back to the surface. So keep that in mind. These both Colestone Perfect and Color Touch are both brown-based colors. So Colestone Perfect, Color Touch, Colestone Perfect is permanent, contains ammonia. Color Touch is demi-permanent, does not contain ammonia. It's such a great asset to have as a colorist because it makes the client's hair feel amazing. So if I've gone in with, let's say, a permanent toner of like my Blondor toner, I know the strength of a permanent toner cannot make the hair feel as soft and moisturized as I'd like. So that's why sometimes what I'll typically do is I'll pre-tone. And if you guys are on Instagram or TikTok, you guys see pre-toning is flooding our industry. Pre-toning is everywhere. So essentially pre-toning is just toning with more than one toner. So I will pre-tone my Blondor and then I will follow it up with a Color Touch. The reason why I'll follow it up with Color Touch is because this makes the hair feel really strong. These contain fiber proteins and natural waxes. So during that consultation, if any time your client says to you, I just feel like my hair is really dry. It's not really as shiny, it's lacking luster. You know, I love using my flat iron. I love sitting in the sun. All of these things are going to break down your client's cuticle. So if you want to make sure that your client hair feels really strong, it feels really nourished, and honestly feels better leaving the salon than when they walked in, at some point in their color service, I would highly recommend using Color Touch. This makes your client's hair feel so luxurious and moisturized in a great way. So if I've toned with my Blondor toner, I'm probably going to follow it up with a non-ammoniated toner, and Color Touch is a great asset. So let's say in an ideal world, we've gone in with our Blondor toner. I toned my client to a beautiful level 10, nice smoky end result, and the color is chef's kiss. I don't want to alter the color, but I just want to make the hair have a little bit more shine and have a little bit more of a luxurious, nourished feel. One way that I can go in and follow up a toner with Blondor toners would be using my Color Touch Relights. Color Touch Relights essentially is part of the Color Touch family, but it's acidic. So I use this separately with my 1.9%, 1:2 ratio, and this is going to be an essential gloss. Sometimes I hear colorists say it's like a lip gloss to your lipstick. So you think of your lipstick like your Colestone Perfect, your Color Touch, your Illumina, and this is like the lip gloss, gives lots of shine. Let's go back to that pH that we were talking about earlier. Remember, we're anywhere between 0 to 14. 7 is straight neutral. Pop quiz, where is our hair at rest and where do we want our clients walking out of the salon? 4.5 to 5.5, and this is going to bring the client's hair down to 4.5 to 5.5 for you. While it's doing that, the acidity of the product will close down your client's cuticle and make that client's hair so light reflective. So when I think about acidity and I think about pH, I always think about a tree and the tree bark. So imagine you have a tree trunk and the bark is really wide and the bark is really far out there, like in the forest. When that cuticle layer, that's like the outside bark of the hair, when that's really raised, the hair looks dry, it doesn't look hydrated, it doesn't reflect light beautifully. It just makes the hair look more frizzy, for lack of a better term. It looks frizzy, it doesn't look healthy. So if you take your relights with your 1.9%, now imagine that same tree trunk. Now you've taken the bark and you've made it more flush to that tree trunk. That color is so much more light reflective and you get so much more beautiful play of light because that color is now being able to reflect instead of refract. So closing down your client's cuticle is such a great way to show off your gorgeous color you just either lifted or deposited and really make the client's hair feel youthful, strong, and have so much more light reflection. I find that my clients are now able to go longer between their haircuts because using relights, and I'm going to talk more about our other acidic color in a moment, but being able to close on that cuticle with that acidity really extends those almost like damaged fried ends. So it makes it look more nourished. So I'm finding my clients are going a little longer between their haircuts because it's giving them the optical illusion that their cuticle is much more flush and so much more light reflective and more hydrated. So being able to use your relights is such a great asset when you're looking to create tone and shine. Your relights have no capability of depositing depth. By that, I mean, you'll notice with our relights. So within Wella colors, if you're not a Wella user, I'm going to broad stroke this very quickly for you so you can just understand the numbering system. So the numbers to the left of my stroke is always going to be my level. What's level? I'll give you a moment to think about it. What is level? So level is how light or dark your client's hair is. So here I have a 5. So we all know that a level 5 is pretty deep, right down the middle. So a level 5, I know this tube of color is a level 5. Here I have 10 stroke 8-1. What's my level? Level 10. So I know this is a very light color because I'm all the way up to that level 10. The one thing that you're going to notice with our relights is that there's no level to them. So these cannot give you the depth. It simply is tone and shine. So when you see that there's no number to the left of the stroke, this is signifying to you as a colorist, it's not giving any depth, it's only giving shine and tonality. So for those clients, again, we're thinking of those platinum blondes, trying to maintain as much lightness as we possibly can. We're not even trying to give it the depth of a level 10 because we don't want to give it too much depth. We're trying to keep it as platinum and pale and light as we possibly can and super translucent. Going in with relights will give me the best of both worlds. Creates that cancellation of warmth and then also can give me a lot of shine. So this is the actual palette for my color touch relights. So you can even just use clear. Like if you find that your client is a swimmer, they live in areas with hard water. Like I live in LA, so a ton of my clients are surfers. I love doing a color touch relight, just clear before for my clients who like to use the ocean water and who are surfers, because essentially what those relights will do will kind of create a barrier between your client's hair and that salt water. There's a lot in salt water and there's a lot in our tap water. So if you're able to create a barrier to protect your hair during those aggressive services, you're going to maintain your client's color longer. It's going to maintain their integrity and their strength so much longer. So I love using color touch relights for my surfers, even if I'm just doing a clear to help create a barrier between their hair and that sometimes stripping salt water. We also have some warm tones. You could do a beautiful gold. We have some gorgeous reds. If your client has issues with his or her reds fading, following it up with a relight red is a great way to really lock in that color red molecule and really keep that red very, very light reflective. So think about it again. You did your red lipstick using Celestone Perfect, the permanent color line. This is really giving me those red pigments. I'm being able to lift and deposit like I can with a permanent hair color and all the wonderful assets of a permanent color. And then fully process this, develop it, bring your client to the basin, shampoo, color post treat, and then follow it up with a relights red. Are you kidding me? It is so gorgeous. That red is light reflective. So you have that red molecule from that Celestone Perfect, and now you have that relights red, and you just lock that in so much longer for that client. So essentially, you'll give them 30% more longevity for their color using the relights and so much light reflection. You will see it when you're at the basin and you're rinsing these out. You're going to see like these specks of glitter. It's like mica. They're gorgeous. So for clients whose red fades really quickly, following it up with the color touch relights is such a great way to help maintain that red and keep it looking luxurious for a very long time. Let me check the chat, make sure we don't have any questions. Great. So that's my color touch relights. The way that I mix the relights, since they're acidic, very low developer, we always mix our relights with color touch 1.9%. Your development time for relights is going to be anywhere between 5 minutes to 20 minutes. The longer you leave it on, the more intensity you'll see in the pigment and the more you'll close on your client's cuticle. So if your client has a little bit more coarser hair, you might want to keep it closer to the 20-minute marker. If they have more finer to medium texture, you can process it for about 10 minutes. The nice thing is with the relights, since the hair is pH balanced anywhere between 4.5 to 5.5, I don't need to follow this up with anything. So I'll rinse this and then I'm not even needing to color post treat. I don't blonde or sealing care. I don't condition. I don't shampoo. This is going to be my last step. So this is a great way to gloss your client's hair, give a little bit of tonality, and making sure that I'm closing down my client's cuticle. Now, a question that I typically get in classes too is, I think you can answer that for yourself, but I'm going to answer it for you. Think about essentially a white piece of paper versus so if your brown piece of paper is a level 5 and you take a red marker on that brown piece of paper, are you going to see it? Maybe in certain light, you have that red marker and that white piece of paper, you're going to really see an impact. So the relights, if you're looking to see an intensity of these pigments, the lighter you are, the more likely you're going to see these pigments. So any client above a level 7 is when you're really going to start to see these red pigments very, very vibrant. So color touch relights are a great treat to your client's hair. Very last step, acidic, shine, and tonality. Love these. Such a great asset. They were, Cosmoprof used to carry them and then they stopped carrying them. So like sometimes colors will ask me if they're discontinued. They're definitely not discontinued. We keep them. I believe Cosmoprof just stopped selling them. So while they might not be available there, they're going to be available at Salon Republic or wherever you purchase your Wella product. But if you go to Cosmoprof, you might find that it's not there just because they don't sell them anymore. So that's my color touch relights. Next, I'm going to talk about Shinefinity. Shinefinity is our newest hero product within Wella. So I'm going to open you our swatch book and show you the wonderful colors. What's one thing that you notice straight away about our Shinefinity? Are you kidding me with this shine? Are you kidding me? Tell me you don't need sunglasses. Even look at these colors, so light reflective. So when you're looking at Shinefinity, so much is in the name. It is extremely, extremely shiny. Now I know that some users out there are Shades EQ users. If you are a Shades EQ user, I promise you your conversion from Shades EQ to Shinefinity will be very, very easy. Within Wella, we've done all the hard work for you. So if you're used to using Shades EQ, we have made you a complete conversion chart. So let's say you're used to 6 GI in Shades EQ. We've given you a complete transition using our Shinefinity. So this really, I say this about Wella, as I say, we come to the party late, but we're always the best dressed. So we sat back, we listened. Shades EQ has been around for plus 20 years. It's a great product that has really served purpose in the industry. It's very well respected. It's a great demi-permanent high shine. So Wella we stayed back, we listened, we found where there was areas of improvement and we maximized on that. So such areas of improvement are going to be the way the hair feels, the longevity of the product, the slip, the way that the product goes on the hair is very elegant. Some wonderful call outs that I love to make about Shinefinity is that this is a very ingredient conscious product. So if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, if you're in the health conscious world, you know that people are very in tune to what ingredients they're applying to their hair and what ingredients they're exposing themselves to. And Shinefinity has really gone above and beyond, making sure that you're using clean products that aren't going to create aggravation or sensitivity to our clients. So some products, some ingredients that it's lacking so that it keeps the cleanliness of the product. So there's zero lift, so there's going to be zero ammonia. So if you're worried about shifting your client's natural melanin, you don't have to worry about that with, uh-oh, here's my earpiece. I'll be right back, let me grab that. So if you are worried about, I hope that wasn't loud and annoying because I had to move it. Oh, there I'm back. If you are worried about shifting your client's natural, Shinefinity is a great asset because, yeah. Okay, hang on. It's like Siri just went on, so let me turn off Siri. I got you. Okay. If you are worried about shifting your client's natural, Shinefinity has zero ammonia, so you're not going to get that shifting that could occur with even, let's say, our Color Touch. While Color Touch does not contain ammonia, it, to be honest, can shift your client's natural, especially if you use it with the 4%. So if you're looking for zero lift, Shinefinity is going to be the hero product that won't affect your client's natural and that maintains the respects the clients of your client's natural hair color. Zero lift, zero damage. It is quite the opposite of damage. It is strong, nourished hair. So if you feel like your client's hair is lacking luster, I feel like there's so many things in our environment that can affect the strength of our client's hair, our blow dryer, cotton pillowcases. Don't even talk about California's water. There's so many things that free radicals in our environment, so many things that really affect the integrity of our client's hair. So the zero damage Shinefinity is such a great asset to have for those clients who have even a little bit of damage to help make their hair feel more repaired and strong. There's a no drip cream gel, true to tone, even over porous hair. So you'll notice if your client has a little bit unevenness in porosity, it takes it very even. You're not going to get that over deposit of tonality in certain pockets that have a little bit too much lightness to it. So it really maintains the true respect of the hair, and that regardless of its porosity levels within the same strand, it's all going to deposit evenly at the end. Zero silicones, pH balance technology. So that pH balance technology is going to bring the pH of your client's hair down to 4.5 to 5.5, where we always want your clients walking out of the salon. So think of your Shinefinity like your very last step. You've done your heavy lifting of your gray coverage. You've done your heavy lifting with your lightener. Shinefinity is going to be maintained for that very last step for your clients. Make sure that client's pH of their hair is down to 4.5 to 5.5 like we want it after we've done the heavy lifting with our lighteners, permanent colors, and our demi-permanents. So this would be the very last product. Zero ammonia, zero silicones, and zero alcohols. So again, this is a very gentle product on your client's hair. So let's say, for instance, I'm looking to achieve maximum warmth control. My client has previous color, and I know that I've done as much as heavy lifting as I possibly can with my lightener. Let's say I use my Blonde Orplex because I'm probably going to use that, obviously. And I know that I'm trying to get maximum warmth control. Shinefinity is a great product that will make the client's hair feel really strong and give me some warmth control. But if I'm looking for maximum warmth control, Blonde toners are going to be a little bit stronger and create a little bit more impact for you. So how would I use it? I would use them together. So I would use my Blonde toner, fully process this for 10 minutes, rinse, remove, shampoo, towel dry, go in with Shinefinity and follow it up with this. So pre-tone and then follow it up with Shinefinity separately. This will give me maximum warmth control. If I go in with just straight Shinefinity and don't necessarily go in with my Blonde toner, that's a great asset that you can do and that you have that ability to do that. Just make sure that you keep in mind that Shinefinity is very gentle. So having those no alcohols, no silicones, no PPDs, no PTDs, no direct dyes, it is not going to give you as much strength and power of a permanent toner like Blonde toners or even using Colestone Perfect with our pastel developer. So this will do a good job of canceling out your warmth, but if you need a little bit more impact, make sure that you're using the Blonde toners because those are going to give you that permanent molecule to be able to cancel and give you that maximum warmth control. So one thing that I wanted to call out with our Shinefinity is that what's one thing that you notice differently about the numbering system? So we know that the numbers to the left of the stroke are always going to be my level. So here I see 09 stroke 05. Okay, so that zero there, that zero is to remind you as a colorist that there's a layer of translucency to the color. So if you're used to using Shades EQ, you know what that translucency I'm referring to is. So that zero before the 9 is to remind you as a colorist that it's going to be a level 9, but there's almost a layer of light reflection on top of that level 9. So let's think, for instance, again, we have two different pieces of paper. In my right hand, I have a red marker, and in my left hand, I have a red color pencil. Both papers are white, red marker, red color pencil. Take that red marker on that white piece of paper, think about the dye load, the saturation of that marker. Now think of the same piece of paper with a red color pencil. Think about how much more translucent, softer it is with that color pencil. Your color pencil is your Shinefinity. Your marker is your color touch. So marker, color pencil, marker. When you're thinking about the finish, the opaqueness, the strength, the ability to deposit more pigment, that's going to be much more of your color touch, whereas your Shinefinity, much more like a color pencil, translucent, soft glaze over your client's hair. Very, very gentle. So we know that we have this layer of translucency with the levels, the 0 before the 9 for that level system. And then anytime that you're using Wella color, I'll just go over how to read the tubes of color in case you're not familiar with it. So it makes sense when you're using any of our products, whether it's Colestone Perfect, Illumina, Color Touch or Shinefinity. The way that we read our individual boxes is the number to the left of the stroke is always our level. So our lightness and darkness is dictated by that. And then that first number to the right of the stroke is going to be the major tone. That major tone is about 75% of the underlying value of this tube of color. So here I have a level 9, stroke 6-1. So that 6 is that major tone. So how the heck do I know what 6 is? Well, anytime I mix, I always have my book wide open. And then I come to my Wella numbering system and I see that 6 is represented by violet. So I know that this is going to be a level 9, 75% violet. And then I see here 1, which is represented by gray ash. So 25% gray ash, 75% violet, 25% gray ash. So this is a really gorgeous level 9 violet gray. So really pretty if I'm looking to cancel out any of those unwanted yellow tones and being able to really give that soft violet feel without giving it too much over tonal deposit, because I have that soft sheerness because it is Shinefinity. Shinefinity is a great asset to have in your portfolio, and it gives you such great versatility with regards to actual application. So we've given you a developer that's great for bottle application, and we've given you a developer that's great for bowl and brush. Both of these are equivalent to a 6 volume. So both of these are very low developer strength. The only thing that's different is viscosity. So your bottle usage is going to be great for using this in a bottle application. So when do I use bottle application? Let's say I'm doing all over shine. I'm looking to give an all over glaze result. I'm not looking to create a band of different demarcations. It's looking to get that color all over my client's hair, have a beautiful continuity throughout my client's entire head. And I'm not looking to have that precision in my application. It's really going to be for speed. Like I can get a gloss in my client's hair with my bottle usage, 4 to 5 minutes max, really quickly. And I will say, hair colorist to hair colorist, some other points of difference of why I like it versus our competitor. Our bottles are shorter, and I find that a lot of the product is not left in the bottle. So some issues that I have, I'm really conscious of our environment and the effect that we have on our environment. As colorists, you'll find that there's a lot of waste in our industry. So the one reason why I love using Shinefinity within our bottle application is because there's very minimal product left actually in the bottle after usage. So you will see, and after the actual application, it spreads so elegantly. It's a perfect viscosity for creating that slip that creates a lot of shine, and that's easy to actually distribute throughout your client's hair. So you get that great bottle application using the Shinefinity bottle. And like I said, all of the product is left out of it. Another really important big call out with Shinefinity is that you're not doing any testing on animals. So some color lines like to use bunnies because they're already at a level 10. We don't test on any animals. So that's the one nice thing that I do love about Shinefinity, that it's very ingredient conscious. So we've gone all over the ingredients that it does not contain, but it also doesn't have any animal testing, and there's no animal derived products in the product itself, which is so important. So whether you're using it in a bottle application or bowl and brush, you just want to make sure you're using the right developer with it. So for that bottle application, it's going to be that all over glossing effect. This is my bowl and brush applicator developer. With your Shinefinity, you're always mixing it at a 1:1 ratio. 1 part Shinefinity, 1 part Shinefinity developer. With your bowl and brush applicator developer, this is great if I'm looking to do a root tap, if I'm looking to give a little root shadow, a little root smudge, because think about the translucency of Shinefinity, being able to give a little bit of smoky, a little bit of depth just right at that root area without giving that strong amount of pigment like I would with, let's say, Color Touch or Custom Perfect. So it just gives me a little bit of that depth right at that root area. And here's kind of like a pro tip. If you find that your client's hair is lacking density, which is something that's very common these days, if you take your client's root just about a level deeper than the rest of their hair, it's going to make their hair look stronger and thicker because you're creating that optical illusion. There's more hair present at the root area. So if I'm going to create that depth and give you that illusion that the client's hair is much more dense, then using the bowl and brush applicator will give me much more precise application and allows me to create that perfect application just at that root area. So let's say about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, do that root tap. Shinefinity is one of the only products that we do recommend if you want to put it under the dryer, you absolutely are able to. You are able to use heat with the Colestone Perfect, Color Touch, and Illumina, only if you're using a Climazon, which is a Wella regulated heat source. Otherwise, we don't recommend heat for any of the products other than Shinefinity. Shinefinity is safe to go under heat because it is so gentle, no alcohols, no silicones, we went over the list. So very gentle. So if you do need a little bit more heat to create a little bit more impact on tonality and deposit, using heat will be a great way for you to really push that product a little bit deeper into your client's hair. So whether you're using bowl and brush or a bottle application, it's still going to be mixed at a 1-to-1 ratio. This is equivalent to a 6 volume. Not going to disrupt or interrupt your client's natural color. It doesn't have that ability. It's very soft, very gentle, zero lift, zero damage. Love Shinefinity. If you just never used before, I would recommend just doing a clear on yourself. So here we have 0, 0, stroke 0, 0. So this is straight clear. This is going to manipulate your color by any means. It's only going to give you a lot of shine and strength and close down your cuticle. So if I were you and you're just like wanting to put your foot into the pool without completely jumping in, I would do a clear and just do it on your own hair. To be honest, it's something I recommend that you do for yourself and that you do to your clients once a season, because I do feel like there's a lot of aggressive in our environment. Like I said, free radicals, minerals in our water, hair products, blow dry, raise our cuticle, interfere with our integrity of our client's hair. So even just doing that clear to give your acidity, lock down that molecule and lock down that cuticular layer so your client's hair is more light reflective. Shinefinity is a great way to do that. The other great asset, since both of these are pH balancing my client's hair, I don't do anything after Shinefinity. So let's say we did a whole lineup of, let's see, I did a platinum card with my Blonde Orplex. So platinum card is every single hair has been foiled, every single hair has been lightened. I did a full platinum card on my client's hair, bring my client to the chair, bring it to the basin, rinse till the water's clear, towel dry, follow it up with my step 2 for 10 minutes. Let this sit for 10 minutes. I'm gonna go back in my dispensary and then mix up my Blonde Or toner. Probably gonna use Pale Platinum because it's my OG favorite. So mix up my Pale Platinum with my Pastel Developer, rinse out my step 2, apply this and let this develop 10 minutes. After that's fully processed for 10 minutes, I'm gonna go in, do an easy shampoo using my Ultimate Repair. This is our new care line. I'll talk about this in a moment, but shampoo out my Blonde Or toner, rinse, towel dry, and now either follow it up with Shinefinity as a gloss to close down my client's cuticle, create more light reflection, make my client's hair feel really strong, give it a really youthful glow. Let this sit for 10 minutes, rinse, my client's good to go. I don't need to color post treat. I don't need the Blonde Or sealing care. This pH balances my client's hair and it's ready to be blow dried, styled, and looking good. So very, very, very last step. So that would be the order for my Shinefinity, incorporating it with my Blonde Or toners, with my Blonde Orplex. So maximum lift to be able to get as much coolness to my client's hair as I possibly can, create those gorgeous platinum blonde highlights, platinum blonde all over colors. So pretty. Blonde Orplex, Blonde Or toners, follow it up with Shinefinity is such a great way to get you there. Our second to last hero product that is new is our Wella Ultimate Repair. If you have not tried this yet, this is one of the best shampoo conditioners that have been launched this year. It is so hydrating and so nourishing, and you will feel results after the first time using the product. So you'll see results in 90 seconds. So by that, if you have a client who has tangly hair, so hair past their shoulders, and you find that like getting a brush through it is a little troublesome and the ends especially are just a little gnarly, this is a fabulous system, the shampoo, conditioner, and spray, to be able to really make the hair detangled, make the hair nourished. There's a lot of omega acids in here, so those omega oils and lipids really give the hair the nourishment and the nourishment that it needs, especially after the lightening process or the coloring process. So for clients who have a little bit less than healthy hair, your Ultimate Repair is a great way to get there. So it's a 3-step process. The first step is going to be your shampoo. This is a great shampoo. The smell is minimal. It's not heavily floral. It's not heavily sweet. It's a great shampoo that removes your color. It's great and safe for everyday use. If your client wants to use it to take it home, it's a great everyday shampoo that's not going to fade their color, maintain the nourishment. It's a very moisturizing shampoo. There's very few shampoos out there that I find that are moisturizing in itself. The shampoo is very moisturizing in itself. So it maintains the respect of the client's hair and the integrity, and also keeps that color in their hair so it doesn't fade that color out prematurely. So shampoo as you normally would, rinse, towel dry. And the step 2 is going to be the omega-9 conditioner. So use this like you would normally use conditioner. Again, when you're teaching your clients, sometimes we have to reteach our clients how to do things because we're never properly taught. So you want to shampoo the root area, condition the ends. So you apply your conditioner, mids and ends. I almost use my fingers sometime in the shower to kind of finger rake it just to make sure I'm distributing the product evenly. This is a very hydrating conditioner. It's not too heavy, from fine texture to heavy, coarse texture. This works everywhere in between. Is not going to give you unnecessary weight. It's going to give you a great way to moisturize and nourish your client's hair without the unwanted weight. It's a great hydrating conditioner. So shampoo, rinse, towel dry, condition. I usually let my conditioner sit anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. So finger rake, tangle tease. I believe Olivia Garden makes a really good brush too that you can kind of distribute your conditioner with evenly. Let that sit in for about 3-4 minutes. Rinse that out. Come out, towel dry hair. Before you actually brush, wide tooth comb, however you detangle the hair after the shower, spray this prior to. This is going to create a lot of slip. This is going to help detangle the client's hair and your own hair very well. So make sure that you remind your client, if they're purchasing this for home, when you get out of the shower, spray this before you brush, because this will help create slip and really protect the hair during the brushing process. Hair is very vulnerable. The hair is damp in it. When it's damp and has moisture in it, we know that the hair is about 26% more weak. So we always want to make sure that our clients are very mindful when their hair is damp. So before they go in with that brush, which can be kind of aggressive to that cuticle, go in with your step 3, because this is going to help detangle and really protect that cuticular layer during the brushing process and make sure that that client's hair's integrity is very much intact. A lot of the tests that we're doing within salons is like side by side. So half of the head we'll do with K18 and then the other half we'll do with the ultimate repair. And we'll do what we call the comb test. So the comb test essentially is taking a wide tooth comb, and you take the comb, half the head with the K18 and then the other half with the ultimate repair. And you take the comb test and you take the comb to see how far down it actually gets before it stops. And if you do that side by side, K18 is usually higher up on the head, and then the ultimate repair gets to about here. So the ability for it to detangle the hair and nourish the hair is unmatched. And I'll be honest, I'm a big product junkie. So when we're in the industry, we're constantly sampling, we're constantly getting other products and trying them out. I will say this is one of the best care lines that has been launched this year. It's amazing. I'm super picky. So we're kind of getting to that time where it's time to wrap up. I want to just broad stroke go over everything again, just to make sure that everything clicks in case somebody's joined us last minute. I saw this product. I'm no problem. So we're going to talk about it now. Oh, they must get. I know you see it and you don't always necessarily know like how it works. And then you see it and you're like, if you don't actually feel it, it's just going to probably sit on the shelves. I promise you, after one use, you're going to be like, it's worth its weight in gold. One use and you will feel the effects. You'll feel the client's hair stronger. You'll feel your own hair stronger. So definitely try that ultimate repair. You'll love it. So definitely a great care line. So broad stroke, we talked about our lighteners, our Blondor Plex. I love this. If I can only use one lightener till the day that I die, it's Blondor Plex, 9 levels of lift, no heat. Remixing every 20 minutes. We're folding it like the cheese, just fold the cheese. Low, slow, and controlled with my developer. We talked about Blondor toners, those platinum smoky blondes, level 9, level 10, starting at a level 2 to 3, getting them platinum as light as I possibly can. Blondor toners are such a great asset. Following it up with either your Color Touch Relights or your Shinefinity Blaze. Either one is a great way to follow up a permanent toner. It helps re-nourish the hair, close down your client's cuticle, make it very light reflective. The one thing that I will say is, as colorists, you want to make sure that you're properly charging. So don't be giving product away for free. So you don't want to tone with one product and then follow it up with a aesthetic gloss and then not charging for it. So as a colorist, you want to make sure that you're explaining to your clients the benefits of all the products that you're using and what you suggest on them. So you're going to want to make sure that you're charging accordingly. So as a colorist, you're able to keep your clients coming in the door and you have that open line of dialogue with them. We talked about Shinefinity, such a great semi-permanent, high shine, high gloss, translucent, acidic gloss. So great. And then our Ultimate Repair, of course, which is such a great care line. So great for removing your color at the back bar, but also great to recommend for your clients to take home to maintain the resplendency in their color and let their color live hair color to hair color and touch up to touch up. I'm gonna make sure there's no more questions. I think we're good on the questions. So if there's no more, I'm just gonna wait a few minutes and hopefully everything was clear and my image was good. It didn't get too blurry at any point, but I do appreciate your time. And well, I'm always big on education. So if you ever want to follow up, I'll put in here my Instagram handle. If you want to like follow up with questions, if you think of something tomorrow, like, can I mix this with this? Feel free to reach out. Like, hair color is my life. I absolutely love it. And I can talk about it all day long. And I do. That's my Instagram handle. So feel free to reach out to me, DM me. I always recommend going on the Wella apps. There's a plethora of information on there. There's a free online chat that's available to you guys at any time for free. You just jump on the chat. They'll ask you a few questions about your client, like, oh, their starting point, what's the goal, what previous color services have they had, and there will be an online chat that will help you transition, whether you're using a different color line, whether you're really versed in Wella. That online chat is there for you to take full advantage of, and it's free. So if you download that Wella app, it has all of that information for you, and that chat is available for you at any time, and it's free. So you might take full advantage of it. Otherwise, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you spending your Monday morning with me.